Space. It's the final frontier, and by 2030 it will be a £400 billion global industry that the UK intends to claim at least 10% of. This may seem a challenge, but the industrial innovation required to make it a reality is happening right now here in Cornwall. What some people might not know is that Cornwall has played a key role in the exploration of space for decades. Most notably, when Neil Armstrong set foot on the moon in 1969. As millions of viewers across the globe watched in awe, the TV images were transmitted by Arthur, a giant satellite dish at Goonhilly Earth Station on the Lizard Peninsula. Today, Goonhilly is the hub of Cornwall's booming space tech industry. Not only are its iconic dishes the UK's gateway to deep space exploration, it also hosts a space tech business incubation cluster and provides unparalleled satellite and data analysis services to businesses around the world. The countdown to Cornwall's next chapter in space is well underway. It's time to hear from some of the people who are making it happen. We travelled to Cornwall Airport Newquay to meet Programme Director Gail Eastaugh, who tells us about the exciting prospects that AeroSpace Cornwall has to offer.
AeroSpace Cornwall is an investment fund focusing on research, development and innovation, and we're particularly keen to support technology development which could add value either to the aerospace sector, the space sector, or some of the platform technologies in the data and digital space.
What's unique about the space and aerospace sector in Cornwall?
We've got some really exciting assets. We're stood here at Cornwall Airport Newquay and we've got uncluttered airspace. We've got a really long runway, one of the longest in Europe, and we're building on that as we develop now the Spaceport services, which will allow small satellite developers to take their products here, launch them into low Earth orbit and bring the data back and use that across the technology sector.
Cornwall's space sector is already home to many groundbreaking startups, as well as world-leading brands such as Avanti Communications and Flan Microwave. This cluster is continuing to grow, thanks to state-of-the-art infrastructure and a wealth of dedicated support for the industry. Ian Jones, CEO of Goonhilly Earth Station, tells us about the history of the antenna farm and how they're communicating into the future.
Cornwall's a really interesting place. It's almost one of the birthplaces of electronic communications. Marconi did his famous transatlantic communications from here. And then Goonhilly really was the beginning of the satellite and the space industry in the 1960s.
Could you talk about some of the businesses based here and how being here benefits them?
Primarily we support satellite communications and space communications and data services as well. We're building an assembly, integration and test facility for advanced manufacturing and also a Space AI Institute. So businesses that are interested in technology development in communications, it's a really ideal site because it really concentrates not only the capability to develop products here, but actually to do the communications as well.
Can you tell us about your AI proposition and how businesses can benefit from it?
We've invested in building, first of all, a Tier 3 data centre. Also, Cornwall is a site where lots of subsea cables from around the world land, so there's a fantastic terrestrial and subsea data connectivity. But then we've invested in high-performance computing, and these are really the engines of AI and machine learning because they can process multiple calculations in parallel very quickly. The overview that space provides, you would not see from a local level because that's normally masked by things like the weather. And now what we're able to do is collect that data from space and process it in the AI facility and get new information out that really help to understand the world that we live in.
Could you tell us about Goonhilly 6 and any other exciting projects you're working on?
Goonhilly 6 is our biggest antenna on the site. It's 32 metres in diameter. It's been a commercial satellite for a long time. We've now converted it to be a deep space antenna with the help of the European Space Agency. We're starting to track Mars for the first time. In fact, a spacecraft called Mars Express. In the future, we're going to be helping the European Space Agency to track their missions. This is going to be the first part of a global network of deep space antennas that we're going to create.
Back on the ground, we speak with Melissa Thorpe, an economist with a background in aerospace and aviation, and tells us about the future of the programme.
So Spaceport Cornwall is here at Cornwall Airport, Newquay, and it's a consortium made up of Cornwall Council, Virgin Orbit and Goonhilly Earth Station to create the first horizontal launch site in the UK.
How will the spaceport benefit Cornwall and the country as a whole?
So the spaceport obviously will create the first ever launch from the UK. And that's really exciting because we build a large majority of the world's small satellites here in the UK, but we can't currently launch them. They all get shipped overseas to launch. So we want to be able to capture that marketplace for the first time ever in the UK. So we'll create this sovereign launch capability.
What will the spaceport do for Cornwall's space tech industry?
So what we do is we try to kind of shine the light on the entire sector here in Cornwall. So we take companies along with us to things all over the world, or we open up doors, whether that's with space agencies or other space companies. And what we're trying to do is raise the entire profile of the space sector in Cornwall alongside the spaceport. And what we'd like to see is once we start launching is acting as a magnet here to the site of companies that might be interested in things like launch trajectories, propulsion, engine testing, satellite technologies, just drawing all that amazing technology here, because what they all need is access to space, as the launch site will provide that.
Could you tell us more about making a launch sustainable?
Because we're just using a Boeing 747 that's been modified, that's fully reusable, so the system itself can carry the rocket, come back, land, and do it again. At the moment, that rocket isn't reusable. So what we want to work on with Virgin is maybe looking at full reusability of the rocket, but also looking at the fuels that go on the rocket. Can we use biofuels? We're creating the first ever space launch at an operational civilian airport anywhere in the world. So we think that's incredibly exciting for Cornwall and the UK.
Combining world-class technology with a rich history of expertise, Cornwall is leading the UK into a new era of space communication and exploration. And with satellite technology helping us observe the Earth, to track climate change and other environmental threats, it's an industry that's playing a vital role in delivering a more sustainable future. For businesses who are looking to harness the power of satellite data and supercomputers, join a collaborative and well-supported space tech community, or even become the next big name in deep space exploration, now is a time to engage with Cornwall's space sector. It's a sector that's about to lift off, and failure is not an option.